Welcome to VidZet. I'm Dr. Ted Noel, and today I had planned on making a very short video. Instead, as things have developed, I have a whole bunch of notes, so let me get right to it. The original version of this video contained a reference to a John Podesta email talking about Hillary Clinton's body odor. Since the video was posted, it has become clear that there is a very large question about whether that email is real. As a result, this video has been edited and the original taken down. Thank you. We've talked about her having Parkinson's disease. That is, Hillary Clinton has demonstrated signs of the disease. We had the head-bobbing cold chai incident, and we had the balloon drop at the Democrat National Convention where she has that funny face in the oculogyrate crisis. Then in virtually every public event after that, we've seen her eyes crossing. Now, all three of these are what we call Parkinson's disease levodopa-induced dyskinesia. That is, bad movement caused by levodopa, and Parkinson's disease patients get these 5 to 10 years after they start taking levodopa, and they basically can't avoid it. We've also seen pill-rolling tremors. We've seen head-nodding tremors. So the diagnosis is fairly solid here. We also have seen a Parkinson's disease rage demonstrated at the "What Difference Does It Make" event when she was testifying before Congress. And a couple of days ago, a protester at one of her rallies popped up with a sign that says Bill is a rapist and Hillary is a criminal, and she just flat lost it.
I am sick and tired of the negative, dark, divisive, dangerous vision and behavior of people who support Donald Trump.
This is probably a Parkinson's disease rage. This is part of the impulsive behavior and over-exaggerated emotional response that Parkinson's patients often get. Now, how do you treat Parkinson's? We've talked about the drugs. The idea is to reduce motion abnormalities. But there's another thing that a lot of people have been wondering about called a deep brain stimulator. And basically, a deep brain stimulator is an electrical device. You'll have a little gadget that sits under the skin, typically in the upper part of the chest. Under the skin, there is a lead that runs up the side of the neck, up over the head, and down into the brain into the right place. Now, this is usually positioned in an attempt to make it almost invisible. And most of the time, you don't see anything. There are a handful of photographs that suggest that there is a lead in this region, but we can't be entirely certain. There's also a CT scan slice with all of the appropriate identifying information to strongly suggest that she has a lead in her brain. The problem is we don't know where that picture came from. Is it true or not? But then recently, one of the doctors I correspond with said, let's look at the statistics. It turns out that if you are just one of the ordinary people in the population, in order to get a sinus thrombosis, that is a stroke in the brain from clotting one of the veins. Remember, Hillary had this. She had a transverse sinus thrombosis. The risk is 1.3 out of 100,000 people. That's a very small risk. And all the docs who've talked about it have said how small this risk is. But let us take another look. It turns out that if you put a deep brain stimulator lead in, the risk is 1.3 per 100. Not per 100,000, per 100. That means the risk is 1,000 times higher. Now, as we look at that, we say, wait a minute. She got this very rare complication. What is it that set it off? Well, now let's look for a deep brain stimulator. Does she have a reason to have one? Yes, because deep brain stimulators are used to control the motor problems, the motion problems that come with Parkinson's disease. So now we have a presumptive possibility, and I'm going to call it plausible. It's not confirmed, but I'm going to say it's plausible that she has an implanted deep brain stimulator. The next line of inquiry comes with emails. We know on September 23 of 2009, Huma Abedin sent an email to Hillary, "Did you bring your earpiece or shall I go get it?" Why would she want an earpiece? We have since learned that earpieces are used, that is, specific earpieces are used by Parkinson's sufferers to raise the level of background noise in order to make them speak at a good level, because they have a tendency to speak softly. In 2011, Hillary wrote to Cheryl Mills about decision fatigue, and we remember the language. That's spooky familiar. And the idea is she's having fatigue making decisions. She's tired. And there's a drug called Provigil that they were talking about that helps with it. Well, if you recall, our earlier discussions about Parkinson's point out that tiredness, fatigue, is common in Parkinson's. And so decision fatigue would be one of the things that we would anticipate could arise. Then we skip ahead to 2013. This is finally after the concussion. Remember, that was in December 2012. And Huma writes to other staff members saying that Hillary is often confused. In another email, she talks about she's often in bed for a nap. That's going to come up again. She goes through what Bill said was a 6-month recovery. And then we have, in August of 2014, now this is a year and a half after the concussion, an email from Podesta where there is a discussion of how to handle some foreign affairs question, and he writes and says, "Not in this channel, let's move it to a more secure channel," implying that Hillary is not using good judgment in where she's putting sensitive discussions. Then we move to 2015. In February, her staff members talk on the emails about her having the worst judgment. Does this sound familiar? Remember, Parkinson's patients have difficulty making good decisions. They have trouble reasoning forward from cause to effect. And this leaves them in a position where they just don't make good decisions. Then in August of 2015, Jennifer Palmieri talks about scheduling a particular event so that Hillary has time to be in her right headspace. Now, the campaign has tried to play that language down, but we already understand that Parkinson's patients have up and down episodes. They have on and off times. And, excuse me, the off times would be times when she's not in her right headspace. A little later in August, you have Huma Abedin writing, "This was a great day. She was zen. She was in a good headspace." In other words, she was during that time Joe describes his Aunt B as being, she looks normal. We move to September of 2015. Once again, we have emails that say she makes terrible decisions. A little bit later in September, what planet is she on? Pointing out that Hillary isn't thinking like anybody else. It's almost like she can't connect that we're at a particular place in a particular discussion in a campaign. She is somewhere else and can't join us. Her head's not working well. In October, we then find discussions of scheduling certain things around Hillary's body clock. That almost certainly refers to the fact that she's had on states and off states, and if they time it properly, they can run through to the end of an off state, get her medicated, have her look good, and proceed to the next event. The Wikileaks emails stop about there, probably because they were hacked at the end of 2015. We don't have those emails from this year. But what we do have is some very telling conversation. On the campaign airplane after the third debate, Hillary specifically said, "No more naps." Why would she talk about naps? Obviously, she'd been taking a lot of naps. And if she's been taking a lot of naps, we have to ask why. Is she just not able to keep up the schedule? Remember, fatigue and off states are common parts of Parkinson's disease. Then, just 2 days ago, in North Carolina, at 2 separate campaign stops, she made 2 very large gaffes. At one of them, she couldn't remember the election date of November 8. She said, on January 20, when I'm elected, talking about, well, you're going to elect me then. And then on another stop, she couldn't remember the name of the town and kept repeating the wrong name for a town. These are the kinds of things that happen for someone who is confused. Again, a common thing in Parkinson's disease. So what do we have? We have a pattern of confusion and bad judgment. This is typical of Parkinson's dementia. Remember, the key element in Parkinson's dementia is the inability to reason forward to make good decisions. It also includes the inability to multitask, where I'm working on one thing, a new problem comes up, I fix the new problem, I come back where I started. Can't do that in Parkinson's disease. It just doesn't work. What is our outlook if by some chance she is elected? We're going to have a president who's unable to work a full schedule. The decisions will mostly be made by her staff, not by her. She simply will not be able to take the 3 a.m. phone call. And guess what? It only gets worse. Remember our last video. Parkinson's disease follows a downhill course. It doesn't get better. So all of this decision difficulty will get worse and worse. But the real problem we have here is, since her staff are the ones who are really going to be making the decision, are they going to be willing to blow the whistle and say she can't do it? No, they're empowered. So why wouldn't they want to keep her in as long as possible, making decisions that benefit them, instead of saying she can't do it, she's out, oh, by the way, that means we're out too. I'm sorry, she's too sick to elect. We cannot afford someone whose mind is this badly impaired in the White House. I'm Dr. Ted Noel. Thanks for watching.